this computer. Got that. I think it's my turn to kick us off, so I shall do so. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, and welcome to the Blurring the Lines podcast. This is episode number 207. And I'm your host, Adam Bell. Joining me as always is my co-host, Peter Nikolaidis. How you doing, Peter?
All in all, I think I'm doing pretty well, Adam.
Nobody's told you differently.
Nobody's told me. No, they haven't actually. Yeah, you're right. I've been told I'm doing pretty well.
Well, some people say we're on this side of the grave, and so you're doing well. But I mean, we've got our health, we got our family. We're upright. We have the liberty of doing a podcast in a first world. We're doing great.
We're doing, it could be a lot worse. Let's just put it that way. So, oh man.
So, well, cool. Oh, you put it in there, so you already got it. So I was going to ask you, how's the running knee?
The running knee. Well, it turns out the running knee is just fine. Apparently the old man knee is not so good. But actually it's better. It's better now.
Uh-huh.
So since we last recorded, I saw a sports medicine doctor at MGH, well now MGB, Mass General Brigham.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens when Mass General Hospital and Brigham and Women's, combine. They just combine parts of the name. We still affectionately refer to it as MGH, which is an acronym for Man's Greatest Hospital. So, um, yeah, I saw him last Monday, I think it was. And I think we spoke, I don't remember if we spoke about this on the podcast, but we definitely spoke about how I was getting my healthcare, prepping for this year. And my plan was to max out my, out of pocket, right? I was going to get all, because I have a lot of things to take care of this year. And, I had a root canal plan. Still got something going on with the shoulder. I had this little spot on my chest, which, was a little concerning maybe, and of course there was the knee.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, between the MRI for the knee, the root canal and stuff like that, yeah, I haven't gotten all the bills yet, but I'm sure I've met my max out of pocket right at this
Yeah, it's
point.
only February.
Exactly. Boy, I tell you, man, February, July, January 2024 has been kind of sucky. But anyway, on the plus side, I saw a sports medicine doctor and he looked at the MRIs and he said, yep, the problem's your meniscus. And he said, first off, meniscus injuries don't come from running. I was like, oh, he says, yep, it comes from aging. Great. So it's an old man injury, but hey, this is good. It's not a running injury.
Yeah.
Yay. So I didn't do it to myself. Um so yeah, that's so I saw him and then they said, yeah, you can talk to the front desk and they can go about scheduling it. And they asked me, said, when do you want to schedule it? I was like, I'm free tomorrow. And the woman behind the counter kind of chuckled and she's like, well, we have next Tuesday. I was like, okay. So pardon the pun, I knee-jerk reaction and said, yes, I'll do that. So um yeah, I scheduled it and boom, got my I had it repaired on Tuesday, a meniscectomy. So they removed a little piece of it. And I don't even know, I've got to ask him exactly like, how this works, but they apparently removed a slice of the meniscus and I'm assuming then, tightened everything else that was there. But that was 3 days ago, almost exactly 3 days ago that I was discharged from the hospital, and I'm here standing on the second floor of my house, and I
Mm-hmm.
walked up here on my own power, and I'm feeling pretty good. Um, I'm taking occasional Advil for
Mm-hmm.
for the swelling. taking an aspirin every day just to keep the blood from clotting, blood clots from forming, and I'm icing it, and that's it.
Okay.
So perhaps sometime in the next 5.5 weeks, I can start running again.
So did you have a torn meniscus?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. Because,
Yep.
well, one, you know, I've heard uh, I've heard the term meniscus. I knew it was in your knee, but I really didn't know exactly what it was. So while you were telling me there, I was looking at the Mayo Clinic and what a meniscus tear is and why it would need to be repaired.
Mm-hmm.
And so it can heal on its own, can, could.
Can.
However, in other cases, torn meniscus requires injury, and they show the different types of tears. And so it looks like, you know, on the top of your bone, your big, not your femur, whatever your shape
Tibia.
of tibia, on top of your tibia, there is a bone shaped end, and on the end, it looks like it's the cartilage place where your knee pushes down on that. And
Yes.
I see where they're talking about the different tears. So it's kind of shaped like a mushroom
So,
head on
yes. Yes.
both sides, and it
Yep.
could tear off this way or it could split. Did
So
it
the
tell you what you have?
diagnosis, yeah, the diagnosis was medial compartment complex tear involving the middle and posterior medial meniscal thirds with fluid signal edema and inflammation along the adjacent joint line.
Mm-hmm.
Fluid signal is seen as extending superiorly along the posterior aspect of the medial femoral condyle, surface irregularities of the articular cartilage.
All right.
Does it get more jargon than that?
Yeah, that one's a little more deeper than me looking at a picture and knowing exactly.
Yes. So, and it said ACL and MCL show signs of remote injury. PCL and ACL are intact. And that was the good news.
Mm-hmm.
Intact ACL and PCL is what you want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So he said, let's do it. And they did it. It was an arthroscopic thing. So, they make a tiny incision, stick a camera in, take a look around, slice, dice, repair, suture, and sent me home.
Cool.
And there you go.
Well, good.
Yeah,
How much pain were you in?
minimal. Oh,
Well,
you
I
mean
mean,
before surgery?
before surgery.
So I couldn't run without extreme discomfort.
Okay.
And it was like I would try running and it would be very like I definitely was having to limp.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I could not sit like in butterfly pose or pigeon pose. Could not
Oh,
do that.
okay.
Like that, yeah, that external rotation that could do it. And I was telling the doctor, what happened, like, well, he says, so, what happened exactly? And I was like, well, I was getting a massage and they were, they finished off by mobilizing the hip joint and stuff and,
Mm-hmm.
essentially bent the knee and, um, hang on a second. Someone is banging on the door. I think I have a delivery. Hang on.
Got a
Oh,
delivery.
oh, I think, oh, I think my girlfriend got it, I guess. I don't know. I got to run downstairs.
Okay.
Just went down 2 flights of stairs to receive the Instacart delivery, whereas my girlfriend remains blissfully ignorant, tucked up in bed reading her book or whatever. Anyway,
Success. Success story.
success. I have dinner. Dinner is here for us, so we're good. Oh man. So where were we? Meniscus.
Yeah. So you were described because I asked you to the extent of the pain, and then you were describing.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was stopping me from doing what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And like I stopped running because every time I would run, I would be in pain usually for a couple of days later.
Mm-hmm.
And also I would it was just I was unable to get comfortable, especially like in the car or on a plane or on a
Mm-hmm.
train. Uh, I just couldn't get comfortable easily.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was constantly, if my knee was extended, it would hurt. So I'd have to bend it. Okay. And then that would hurt. And then, like, so basically if it was in light motion, everything was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, if I was just sitting still, it was uncomfortable. It made sleeping very difficult as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and my doctor basically described that too. He was like, I bet you can't sit still, starts to hurt. And I was like, uh-huh. So, yeah, so right off the bat, I was like, yep, he's got it. He understands me and he's got a fix. So let's do it. So we
Yeah.
did it, and there you go.
Yeah, I'm just suffering from old man knees too, but I don't think that I have anything torn. Um, it hurts to lunge. Like if I
Yep.
lunge, both knees do not like lunging, but my left
Hmm.
knee really doesn't like lunging.
I mean, knees
But
knees aren't made to lunge, were they? I mean, come
yeah,
on.
but I can squat. I mean, like I could do an air squat. I can go all the way to the bottom, and while I mean I'm not saying I don't feel pressure in my knees from doing the squat. I mean, I
Yep.
wouldn't enjoy sitting in a squat for a 30-minute challenge. I'd tap out, but it's not pain. It's just,
Yeah.
it's a little bit stiff. Um,
Yeah.
I don't like lunges, and I cannot sit in a straddle, where you put your
Okay.
knees down and then you put your feet on the sides of your legs. Can't
Yep.
can't do that. And I think that's more of my flexibility than
Hmm.
I mean, it hurts, it kills my
Wait,
knees.
straddle, you put your feet on the sides of your legs.
Where if you were to go straight down, not where you're sitting on your feet, but where your feet are, so your knees kind of point this way, and then your feet are beside you. Where not if you go straight down and you're sitting on your feet. I can sit on my feet. I just can't put my feet a little bit out.
Okay. Okay. Got
Yeah.
it. All right. We're
I
getting
don't
there.
remember what
So,
that yoga pose is, but where you sit and then you bend back. That's impossible
yes.
for me.
Okay. 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 So straddle in yin yoga, straddle is just a wide-legged split when you sit down and legs are out wide.
Okay.
But are you talking
No,
standing up
kneeling
and your
on
feet
your knees.
kneeling,
Kneeling
kneel on your knees?
on your knees, yeah.
Okay, that's in yin, that's called saddle.
Saddle. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Saddle pose I
Saddle.
cannot do. I mean,
Got it.
I
Got it.
can't even lean. I can't even put enough pressure to lean back. It's
Got it. Got
I'm
it. Got
leaning
it.
forward. Forward.
Yes. So that was saddle is something where I would start to feel pain.
Mm-hmm.
If I did that, it would also hurt for a couple days afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that was the real thing. I was like, okay, I'm taking some time off, I'm not running, just doing light yoga, but even like light yoga classes were starting to cause pain and
Mm-hmm.
discomfort. And I was like, okay, this is done. I gotta get this fixed. This is ridiculous. You
Mm-hmm.
can't tell me well, you got to stop running. Okay, fine. Well, now you got to stop yoga too. Excuse me. I was like,
Yeah.
so that was not happening. So yeah,
Well, yeah. I mean, if you can't even do yoga, I'm like, oh, I mean, I can't do certain
yeah.
poses, but not everything.
Yeah. 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 Well, exactly. But I mean, yin yoga, right? I mean, it's supposed to be done, doable by anybody. There are a couple of poses like, okay, if you have this injury, don't do this. But
Mm-hmm.
like, I was, it was getting ridiculous. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we got rid of that.
Well,
So,
and speaking of yoga, I mean, since we're on the, I hate, well, I don't do it enough, and that's the problem. Uh, I think it's called fire log, where you cross your legs, you put one
yes.
leg on your.
Yep.
I can't do that.
It hurts my knees. I don't do that. That
Okay,
hurts my knees. So yeah,
it
I
doesn't hurt
don't.
my knees. I just can't do it. I mean, I'm like,
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing. But I will do a variation of that like square pose
hmm
or but I prop up, like sit up on props. So it's
hmm
not as dynamic and so
yeah,
so yeah.
yeah, that'd be helpful. So anyway, so
Yeah.
I'm glad to see, because I was kind of surprised because I was out of town, and you're like, hey, doing knee surgery on Tuesday. I'm like,
I'm
Wow.
sorry. Yep. And then I
Cool.
came back and boom, I'm surgerized. So
Surgerized.
surgerized.
So speaking of being out of town, so we spent 2 weeks in Fiji. Have you ever been to
Yeah.
Fiji?
I have not been to Fiji.
Well, if you anticipated a beautiful environment, much like Hawaii in its physical beauty, not, I mean, it wasn't a volcano. It was a volcano at some point, but it's not a volcano, a live active volcano, and it's not volcanic rock now. It is a beautiful atoll and a number of islands. Yeah, the we really enjoyed it. The the Fijian people are extremely welcoming and glad you're there. And I mean, they're like really grateful that you came. You went on vacation and you came there,
Hmm.
and which is kind of different than what we're used to experiencing. A lot of tourist locations, they're like, we know that you're our number one industry, but we resent you for coming here.
That sounds like Vermont.
Yeah. Can could you just save us the effort? Could you just send money and not come? Because that would really be better for everybody involved. But no, they were a really it was a really cool place to go. We visited the villages. So they are still um, there are cities there, but there is still a large village population, and the villages follow the rivers. And so you may, if to get to the village that you want to visit, you may have to go up the river hours to get to the 24th village on the
Hmm.
river.
Hmm.
And it's very primitive as far as these villages. Uh they are getting solar energy because there
Okay.
is no grid there. They're getting water now with recent developments like uh, water that it's not necessarily potable, but they'll catch rainwater and be able to use it for showering and indoor plumbing that
Okay.
they have never had. And I mean, and this is 2024. And so we got to visit those villages, and I don't know if you know. I mean, you know what cannibalism, but Fiji was a big cannibal island. So
I probably knew and forgot that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we knew of cannibals, but like who? I mean, and it was a big thing. So like, we heard a story. They were talking about the buildings there, and you may have seen them. They are cane or not or bamboo buildings, and they would have had two big pyramids, like 2 points, and then it comes down. To me, it almost looked like some of old Chinese architecture, not
Okay.
not the Japanese roofs that are there's, but they had 2 points, and part of that construction was you as the builder, you buried four of your enemies in the posts. So you killed an enemy, you dug the hole, and you put your enemy in underneath one of those poles. So you were using their spirit to strengthen your house. It's part of the whole spiritualism of things where they would eat them. They thought they were taking their powers by eating them.
Yes.
So
Yes.
they would take their powers and put them in the building. Yeah, and obviously they realized that cannibalism when the Christians came there, and the Christians didn't really come there until late. It was like in the 1800s when the Christians arrived, um, and they have a really strong Christian base now. And what is interesting is, so when the British colonized it, they wanted in true British Empire, form, they came to the island. He said, "We love your island. This is perfect for sugarcane. You will now make sugarcane for us." And they said, "We don't want to make sugarcane, so we're just not going to work real hard for you." And they couldn't make them run the sugarcane plantations, so they went and brought indentured servants from India over who who had a real strong work ethic and would do these sugar canes, and they were
Okay.
they were putting them on five-year term indentures. So after two terms at 10 years, they could return home to India. But was the British Empire going to actually flip the bill? No, no. It's your responsibility to get back to India. I mean, we've been paying you all along, paying you
Ah,
all along. So
okay.
now Fiji is about 50% uh, Fijian and
Yep.
50% Indian. And
Okay. I
so
did not know
it's
that.
an interesting mix of culture there. And it's and they're also there are a lot of Muslim there with a lot of the Indians are Muslim and a lot of the
Okay.
Fijians are Christians. So
Yep.
there's um, a unique mix there. And apparently, we were talking to him, and it's been really stable for the last 20 years there.
Hmm.
But apparently there were coups there, military coups up to like, 2003, so 21 years ago, not long ago.
It's not all that long ago.
Not
Yeah.
all that
Okay.
long ago. So it's been relatively stable, and like I said, we really enjoyed where we stayed. It was a house right on the ocean. Very, very reasonably priced. It's not anymore. We as many days as we stayed there, it would have cost the same to go to uh, Destin in the summertime.
Mm.
you know, and
Hmm.
Destin in the summertime is the high rate,
Yeah.
so it just really was very affordable to be there.
Cool. Well,
So
maybe I should take a trip to Fiji.
yeah, I would highly recommend it. I mean,
All
it's a
right.
long trip. It's 10 hours from LA
Oof.
in the winter. Yeah.
I'm
Oof.
definitely gonna want to break that up into two pieces, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of trips. There are a lot of trips out there that go to Fiji, but they like to round it out into Auckland, New Zealand. So they'll do a
Okay.
trip to Fiji, spend some days there, and then go down to Auckland. We'd
Got
like
it.
to go to New Zealand, but we felt like one, we didn't want to go on vacation, get to a place, unpack, after a few days, repack, get on a plane
Mm-hmm.
again, go to
Mm-hmm.
another country, unpack,
Mm-hmm.
repack, go back home. It would be like, let's just stay in one place the whole time. Let's give New Zealand time when we go to there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Focus,
Yeah,
focus. Don't
the
multitask.
focus that it deserves. So we had a good time.
Well,
Um,
that's cool.
we went scuba dive. We saw blue starfish. Never seen a blue starfish before.
I've seen one in comic books,
Yeah, but I mean they were legit blue, not like, oh yeah, I can see that's blue-ish. No,
bluish,
it's blue, like indigo blue. But it's pretty
blue
cool.
starfish. That is
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah,
Nifty.
yeah.
All right.
So, all right. And I see and you also gave me a thumbs up on Sherlock Holmes and Dracula.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
So I haven't talked about it in a little while, but you remember there was a time, it was a couple years ago, I was running the weekly Sunday night game called Rippers,
Mm-hmm.
which was, essentially the Victorian era Justice League. That book was essentially a Rippers novel.
Yeah.
It was very much like they changed a few things, but like all the characters that take place in there, with the addition, of some Lovecraftian you know, elements as
Mm-hmm.
well. But the very end, where Holmes is telling Watson about all the things that they're reading about, and
Mm-hmm.
because he was like, no, no, no supernatural, no, no, no. But well, obviously now we know there is. So, and he was just listing off things, and all of those elements are, represented in rippers and stuff. So it was great. And I think the author's style, I think he captured Doyle pretty well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know, if I didn't know better, I thought I'm reading a Sherlock Holmes novel.
Yeah.
So, which I was, but just not
Mm-hmm.
by AC Doyle. So, no, I thought it was really good. So I was enjoying that. And I've decided I'm going to let my Blinkist subscription expire.
Oh.
It renews next month, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
just take those funds and throw those at an extra audiobook a month or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was fun. Because I think I've pretty much done Blinkist to death. Like there's only there's only so many concepts out there, and I can only read so many books on meditation, relationships, business, self-development, and you're boiling them all down to the key concepts. And
Mm,
a lot of the key concepts are all the same, you know.
mm,
There's the power of habit versus atomic habits versus change or die. They're all the lesson is the same. So when you
mm,
boil them down, you get a lot of the same stuff out. So I think Blinkist was a good investment. I just think I've got enough out of her for now, and now I'm looking to get some more entertainment value. So
mm.
there you go.
When I do, I mean, I listen to a lot of entertainment there
Hmm.
as well.
Yep. So yeah, so I'm enjoying my Audible Unlimited, well, limited, but
Hmm.
anyway, my Audible subscription. So yeah.
Hmm. Cool. All right.
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
How many different standards are represented in the USB-C style connectors?
How many standards?
Yes.
I don't know what you mean. Like
Well,
power, there's power involved. There's a
sure.
ratage of power.
I'm going to ask my AI assistant this question too, and just to make sure I'm asking it properly. Data standards, though. Well, just say standards. Use this form factor. And I'll tell you why I ask, because um, on my desktop, so let's see, USB-C connector. Okay, so now GPT is claiming that USB 2.0, USB 3.2, USB 4, Thunderbolt 3, and Thunderbolt 4, DisplayPort, HDMI, and power delivery can all go over a USB-C style connector,
They
like this
okay.
guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
which is great until so I've got right now my desktop, my quote unquote docking station is just a
Hmm.
USB-C cable.
Okay.
So that USB-C cable goes into a cal digit hub, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so that cable is feeding power to my MacBook,
Mm-hmm.
but my MacBook is feeding data, and it's feeding data to my MacBook, but my MacBook is feeding data and video, well, network data, video, audio, all going back through the hub.
Yeah.
Okay. So the cable comes out of my MacBook, and if I had desk view enabled, you could see this. But the cable comes out of my MacBook, straight
Right.
out.
Yeah, mine too.
Right. So I didn't like that. So I bought a 90-degree adapter,
Mm-hmm.
which didn't work. So I replaced it with another 90-degree adapter,
Mm-hmm.
which also didn't work because I realized that that cable actually has to be a Thunderbolt cable. And I was just buying
USB-C.
USB whatever cables, 3.2 or 4 or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So they were not supporting all the video. So I
Are
couldn't
they
use
active
those.
or passive cables?
I think they're passive because I don't see any power supplies connected to them. So, anyways, supposedly any minute now, Amazon will be delivering. That's what I thought was the knocking of the door because my Instacart order showed up. I got a note saying, "We're sorry, we're running late. We'll be here by 5 p.m." And then 10 minutes later, it was there, an hour early. So I thought it was my Amazon delivery, but I ordered a few what I'm hoping to be nifty 90-degree angle USB-C Thunderbolt adapters.
Mm-hmm.
And all they're going to do is just change the output by 90 degrees so that I can get back a little bit of desk space. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes those 2 inches make all the difference. Because I have like two laptops sitting side by side. I have a personal laptop and a work laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had 2 extra inches over there, I could mouse comfortably in that
Mm-hmm.
space, but I don't. So I'm constantly banging up against the Thunderbolt cable, not just the same old, just the plain old USB-C cable.
Mm-hmm.
Aha. And yes, that is exactly what was said by her. So there you go.
Well, I have a Cal Digit port expander, and
Yep.
my monitors require active. USB-C um, to HDMI. I guess I'm moving to HDMI, but it has to be active. It won't even come on if it's not an
Okay.
active cable.
Now, when it's active cable, does that mean it's got power, or what does that mean exactly?
Active cable
Or
means that it is presenting a persistent signal over the wire at all times. Because the
okay.
HDMI does not detect over a passive, it doesn't detect signal being passed to it. So it is constantly sending a signal to the monitor to let it know it's alive.
So is that a feature of Thunderbolt and DisplayPort and HDMI, but not like USB 3, for instance, then? I'm just wondering if maybe the problem was that I also require active cables and I did not buy those. That sounds
Yeah.
like probably what happened.
So I think it's specifically an HDMI issue.
Okay.
But the USB, so it's passing that USB. I mean, the USB is just the interface on the Cal Digit side, but it's an
Right.
HDMI function. The HDMI side needs to receive that active signal.
Okay. That's
Now,
probably
don't
what's going on with me.
don't quote me on that. I just know that my monitors won't work without an active cable.
I'm guessing that's probably what's going on right now,
And it's the
so yeah,
it's the price difference of a $7 cable for passive and an $18 cable for an active. And
interesting.
so,
Well, we'll see when these arrive what I get. I also bought a bunch of little adapters like these guys to go from USB-A to USB-C
uh-huh.
and
That
also the
work?
other way around. Hmm?
Does that work?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so if you have a new device like a USB-C device, you can plug it into this and then plug this part into the legacy USB-C outlet.
It just slows
So
it way down.
yeah, it's probably not going to be. Well, I mean, if yeah, it's probably would go up to like, well, this is black inside, so it's not blue, so it's probably an old school USB. I primarily use it just for charging,
Mm-hmm.
but if it's a mouse or something like that. So since my MacBook has only USB-C, I also got the other versions too. So you can take old school USB-A connectors and put them into a USB-C outlet.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I can use my mouse on my MacBook if I wanted to, for
Mm-hmm.
example, with a cable. So I just bought a bunch of these little guys because up in Vermont, I have chargers all over the place. But then, like, I had a USB only, USB-C only cable and nothing to plug it into.
Yeah.
And I was like, ah. So I got a little adapter. And I also bought a few replacement outlets for the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Each one, it has the standard, whatever standard North American, plug
Mm-hmm.
cable plug for power, as well as a USB-A and a USB-C outlet. So
Nice.
I'm gonna throw those into place up in Vermont, so I don't have to carry separate chargers around everywhere. It's just you got an outlet, plug yourself in, you're good.
Well,
So,
cool. Well, it just so happened. So when I went to, um, I didn't forget it when I went to Fiji, but I forgot it. No, I forgot my Apple charging brick.
mm-hmm.
No. So my MacBook Pro is going to be dead. Well, I had my iPad. So the iPad has a USB charger, and I had an Anchor biscuit that I had purchased, and a higher Anchor biscuit because the new iPad Pro requires more power than the old biscuit from Anchor.
Yes.
So I bought it, and my iPad's working. I'm like, well, you know what? I can't charge my MacBook Pro, but I can maintain it. I can keep it, so I can use it for power. It won't charge the battery, but I was
Yes.
pleasantly surprised the Anchor actually charged the MacBook. It probably didn't charge it as efficiently as if I had the nice block, but it did charge it.
Okay. I find it seems to be hit or miss. And I guess I've definitely found where I could only get Apple products to charge on Apple chargers.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that I'm just assuming that they're just not meeting some standard, with those
Mm-hmm.
power bricks that Apple insists on or something.
Mm-hmm.
What I did find is I have three genuine little Apple chargers, and they're all not the tiniest ones, not the
Yeah.
little tiny square ones, but the little slightly larger that you can
Yeah.
break apart and put an extension cable on.
Uh-huh.
I don't think those are 30 watt. I don't remember how many watts they are. Not a lot of watts though.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I have three of those downstairs right now on my breakfast bar in the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been plugging both my laptop, MacBook Air, and my iPad in those.
Yeah.
And it's funny because if I'm using them both actively, I can see the battery percentage gradually going down. It's like, oh, it's charging,
Yeah.
but
Not
it's
fast enough.
losing. It's like my outdoor video cameras, which are on little solar panels when there's not a lot of light out. It's like, yep, it's charging, but the amount is going down.
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm, after I leave them or I, quit the Zoom call, go make a cup of coffee, I come back and it's gone up a couple percent.
Mm-hmm.
So it was funny. So, and
Yeah.
it because like you and I were on a call before this one, and my battery dropped down to about 70% while we were on that call. But now up here on the fully powered charge, I'm back to 100. So
Mm-hmm.
there you go.
Oh, cool. So, and then you had a Nifty, didn't you? Or
It was going to be that little 90-degree adapter was one of them.
okay. Yeah, and
And did I have another one or was
I
that
don't
it?
know why I didn't,
Oh,
some
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course I do. Yes. DSL returns.
hmm
So,
digital
sorry.
subscriber line?
Yes, exactly. No, not that.
No.
Damn Small Linux is back. And let me see, is it damnlight.org, I think? Yes, damn small DAMSmallLinux.org. Damnsmalllinux.org DSL 2024 is back. So you can buy it now, or buy it now. You can download it now. It has they've changed it over time. So the initial DSL had a 50 megabyte download file. The ISO was 50 megs. Now it's 700 megs.
Seven,
So,
really? Still, you could still fit
well,
that on a CD.
that's the whole point. That is the point. The point is to keep, an installer that you can run on a CD. And right now it's I just downloaded one right now and it's 666 megs. So damn small Linux, it includes it. So it is based on Debian. So yay, I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
Debian for the win. It comes with three web browsers, word processor, spreadsheet, email client, PDF viewer, video and audio player, graphics editor, FTP, SCP, quick file editor, file manager, a couple different file managers, and lots of other things. So, it's essentially a full-featured Linux distribution with the smallest the smallest footprint that you can have and still
Mm-hmm.
be fully functional. Now, you're not going to run like LibreOffice on this or Conqueror or any of the more popular software or Firefox even, right? You're not
Mm-hmm.
going to have or Chrome. Those are not included in this. You can install them after the fact,
Yeah,
but those aren't included.
you could
So
turn it into a great big fat Linux installation.
you could make it damn big Linux if you wanted to. Yes. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. Um, so that was a nifty. And the other interesting, more time-based nifty, earlier this week, did you hear about Sora,
I do not.
the latest OpenAI project? Apparently, it's not available for public folks, and it looks like something I don't yet have access to. But it is their text to video generator.
Oh, okay.
So think it's DALL-E, but for videos, not images.
Huh.
I've seen some pretty awesome demos. I want to get my hands on it myself and see how it actually works.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks pretty cool. It makes like 60-second videos. So, think little video clips and stuff, and it's all AI generated. So I'm curious. I'm really curious to see what it's like. So
Huh. I haven't found a great way to use AI. I mean, as far as I don't know, I just haven't found any like super awesome ways. I've found some pretty mundane ways to help me speed up
Hmm.
some things, some searches and things like that. But I kind of feel like that it's so inconsistent, especially when it doesn't have a persistent memory. So, like if I say, "Oh, make a video that looks like this," take my old video and let's change that. Let's make that a unicorn instead of a mermaid.
Yep. So, so another thing along those lines, OpenAI did just announce that this week that GPT will have a memory. So they are releasing, or I think it might already have that feature now. I haven't had a chance to
Hmm.
explore that, but that's something they say that they just that either did just add or are adding real soon now.
Is it going to be limited to like just the text part or
I don't know. I don't
session?
recall. I haven't
So,
had a chance to actually play with it myself, so I want to. It
mhm.
sounds, but I'm curious. I'm curious to see what it's gonna, what it's gonna be like, and it would be nice not to have to tell it. But again, I don't know. Well, I guess I do know. So a while ago, they allowed you to create profiles. So essentially, it's just like a sticky set of instructions ahead of time where I tell it, for instance, like, I work as a CISO, I practice yoga, I'm an avid runner, I live near Boston, Massachusetts. Um, Address me as sir. Right. So I give it all those things. So every time, it's like, what's the, like, how far away is, the Amazon from Las Vegas, Nevada? And it's like, sir, judging by this, blah, 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 Las Vegas is so and so many miles, blah, blah. Okay. So that's fine. Um, but
Please,
that's not
please,
going to
Admiral
remember,
Nikolaidis.
right? You can, but that's not going to remember the conversations that we
Yeah,
have,
yeah.
right? So I guess that's the next step. So yeah, I'm curious to see what comes out of that.
Hmm. Yeah, that will be interesting. All right.
So anyway, those were my nifties. There you go.
That is nifty.
Um, yeah. So should we wrap from there?
I think we wrap it up.
I think we should wrap it up. So, folks, if you want to get a hold of us, you can find us at blurringthelinespodcast.com. You can find Adam at sublimecomp.com or rrlavenderfarm.com. You can find me at nikolaidis.com or yogawithpeter.com and a bunch of other places.
And a bunch of other
So- but if you want to do that, you have to buy me a beer, and no one wants to buy me a beer. So let's just get out of here and push that big red button.
All right. Wait a minute. Stop
I'm
recording.
waiting.